Disabled / chronically ill Redditors. What's the worst piece of advice someone has given you to cure your illness / disability? I have chronic migraines and have been getting about 15 to 20 a month since 2017. A well-meaning Facebook friend suggested I put a banana peel on my forehead because your body will absorb potassium into the brain. Yes, my 6 different meds, physical therapy, rigid sleep and eating schedule, Botox injections, etc. that the PA, my primary doctor, and my neurologist all recommended didn't fix my migraines, but they read the banana peel thing on the internet, so it had to be true. Dude, I feel this sarcasm. Like I've literally said yes. Good thing you told me to take essential oils. You just cured 7 years of chronic vomiting that 12 doctors and 9 specialists couldn't. Do people even think before they speak? Sometimes I wonder. A lot more people than you would think believe in the medical / pharmaceutical industry conspiracy theories and that homeopathic pseudoscience is real medicine. Because taking a bunch of expensive vitamins that you're just going to pee out, or essential oils, which essential just means they smell and were steeped from a plant, will actually do the trick. I was told to drink a mixture of different cooking oils, like a cup of oils, mixed with sage, oregano, 2 different kinds of teas and something else. Someone convinced my family member that concoction would stop my organ failure. Another said I needed to visit her magical vet who would know exactly what to do to fix me. I should also get off pain medication cause that was what was causing my organ failure, not the string of birth defects I had. Needless to say, I didn't do any, and I'm now post-transplant surgery doing much better. Nowhere near perfect but good enough for me. Family still offering stupid advice to fix me, so now I get irate and sarcastic at the mention of juice cleansers and foot pads that pull out toxins. Someone wanted you, a human, to see their vet. As a vet myself, this is batshit fucking insane. Most of us wouldn't want to treat a human. Hell, I went into vet because medicine is interesting, but humans are icky. Yes, and this family member regularly sees one to have things treated such as broken bones. She was convinced her vet could do more for me than any trained doctor. She's pretty batshit, and I don't have contact with her anymore, and haven't for years cause I can't take that kind of thing. My best friend is a vet and we used to joke around with how she could just wheel me into her office and fix things herself, but we were never serious about it. It was always a good laugh between us when I was stressed out, frustrated with the wait, or worried about things. This family member was dead serious that her vet could fix me. Pardon me, does the vet agree to this? Her vet? Yes, at least to see and treat her. Casted her arm when she broke her finger, and pretty sure she also supplied medication for things. We are pretty sure the time she drugged me as a child with mystery medication, it was something she got from her vet. That was the last time my parents let her be with me alone as a kid. We still don't know what she gave me. She refused to tell, only said it would help me get better. Spoiler, it did not. Lupus here with bad photosensitivity. Go out in the sun and exercise so I can get more vitamin D. I have lupus too. I've been told to get more sun, so I will apparently build a tolerance to it. Use fill in the blank essential oils. Push through the pain. And my favorite, I've never heard of that. Can't be that bad. Never heard of it? Drive. House misdiagnosed every patient with lupus before going on a bender and finding out the real cause is a genetic disease that causes their pee to combust in the presence of rosemary. Well, yeah, but he only figured that out because he saw a boy playing with a fire truck, and then he looks at 13's lipstick too. Can't forget that. Eat more to cure chronic nausea, which prevents me from eating. Bullet lodged in your leg. Just shoot it out. You went to the same school as my doctors. I don't think those were doctors, dude. According to the last medical bill I received, they were, and the numbers were staggering. Vitamins instead of Ritalin for ads. Also vitamins for autism. Also, never ever get vaccinated because autism. My mom is fun. My spouse has autism and asked me once, so I already have the autism. Should I still get the vaccines? What do they think will happen? Will it level up my autism? Will I then have autism too? 0? Are they afraid of level 2 autism? I'll take over the world. won't I? I'm stealing this. I get a flu vaccine every year and had the full round and then some as a kid. So I must be at least a level 30 autistic by now. Oh, you might be onto something. My pediatrician lost my vaccine records when I was a kid. So I had to repeat all my vaccines from birth to age 3 again. Mom is still pissed about it 30 years later. That plus the rest of the regular ones, including annual flu vaccines and keeping my TDAP updated, would have to be worth some extra autism, right? Too bad all I got was this lousy ADHD instead. Having kids will cure your mental illness. Fucking lol. Being pregnant means no meds. No meds plus not wanting to be pregnant means that fetus will be terminated. Even if I have to do it myself. Yeah, this is why I can't be pregnant ever. I can't be off my meds. I took myself off of them a few years ago, and I had extreme paranoia, hallucinations, and I nearly thought and attempted suicide daily. No kids for me. I went off my effective meds to try SMTHLs temporarily, thought the Luvox wasn't helping, was prescribed lithium to try instead. I was supposed to trial the new ones for a month. Couldn't take the old ones at the same time due to side effect conflicts. I made it about a week before I relapsed into self-harm and obsessively focusing on suicide and experiencing the matching impulse to attempt it. Never again will I go off my meds. Not for a fetus or anything else. I'd probably be dead or committed within a matter of weeks. One of the major advantages that being a double leg amputee has over other disabilities, generally, nobody thinks they can cure you. Edit. Fucking Christ. Never mind the advantage part. And yes, I do have a sense of humor about it. To a point. If you had come up to me out of the blue and made some of these comments, I'd have laughed it off and gone about my day. But I just got through saying that I took some small amount of solace in the fact that people didn't say this. Have you tried apple cider vinegar though? It will grow new limbs. That stuff is really a miracle. Well, drive. Carners would like to cure you, but a common side effect is dry scaly skin. May cause hyperaggression syndrome and paranoia related to spiders. For bladder issues, drink more water. Drink less water. Have you tried cranberry juice? It actually sucks since it's acidic and makes things worse. My favorite. Have you heard of Kegels? No. I've had this problem for years and years. Been to multiple doctors, and I have never, ever, heard of Kegels. Thanks. I'm cured. Kegels. Edit. Yes. I have Ike. I had someone tell me to put tea tree oil in my underwear when I had a monster kidney infection from chronicutis a few weeks ago cause burning my lady parts would definitely cure that kidney infection. Just burn the urethra closed, and then you no longer pee, thus eliminating the pain you get when peeing due to UTIs. It's the perfect solution. Doctors hate you. Honestly, I'd be pretty pissed at the sheer stupidity if I were a doctor. So you're not wrong. Drink apple cider vinegar from a doctor. She then consented to order a scan. I needed surgery as soon as possible. Turns out, let me guess, gallbladder disease. Had mine out just over a year ago after more than a year of dealing with random attacks. F me, I would not wish that pain on anyone. Just having the ultrasound done to confirm that it was gallstones was easily some of the most excruciating pain I've experienced. Took far longer than it should have because I couldn't stop writhing in pain the instant the tech applied pressure. I was lucky in that no outside pressure caused any change, but damn did it suck waking up at 5 AM at random intervals and so much pain I could not even breathe. I was checking in for a doctor's appointment for an unrelated procedure. The nurse saw on my chart that I have celiac disease, so she recommended I go see the medical medium, who, I assume not, is a man who claims to cure chronic illnesses by talking to dead people. She said he could cure my celiac, an autoimmune disease that does not have a cure. This registered nurse actually wrote down his name on a post-it and handed it to me before continuing to check me in for an MRI. It was surreal. Yeah, a lot of nurses are into quackery. Source: I work with a lot of nurses, and I often have to bite my tongue. I know more than one nurse who opposes vaccines. Open bracket. I worked with a nurse who didn't eat pork for religious reasons, but also thought that if you poured wine on raw pork and sealed it in a container, it would spontaneously sprout maggots. Like, that's not how any of this works. Abiogenesis. Neat. She also did a juice detox once, and one of the doctors literally laughed in her face when she told him about it. He was like, juice detox? There's no such thing. Apostrophe. Years ago a fellow patient recommended a supplement she swore by, went to GNC, and it was pricey enough to cause me to delay the purchase. A couple of days later it was banned by the FDA due to more than a few sudden deaths. I think I dodged a bullet. What was it? It might have been L-tryptophan, not positive. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid and can only make you ill if you consume a huge amount of it, or if you're taking large doses while also taking SSRIs. Otherwise it naturally occurs in animal products, potatoes, quinoa, and some other plant sources. Humans don't synthesize it, so we have to get it from food. Hence its essential status. I think it was banned in some countries for a while. The reason being a contaminated batch poisoned a lot of people. I had a family member tell me I should wean off my beta blocker medication with B vitamins. Without my beta blocker, I'm bedridden. B vitamins aren't going to do for that. Plus most B vitamin pills make me throw up. Yikes. Sounds like they have a case of the crazy. Beta blockers are amazing drugs that are used for all kinds of diseases. If I might ask, what is making you ill? Atrial fibrillation with RVR, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, heart failure, OP is in the dysautonomia subreddit, so I'd assume it's POTS. It's uncommon and uncomfortable. At best, if it's severe enough, I could absolutely understand being bedridden. Yeah, it's POTS. Without them I get so winded and tatchy just getting to the kitchen for a cup of water. I lost a job over my beta blocker not working for a week and having to call out. It's the only thing keeping me functioning anymore. Backquotes up fellow Potsy. Hope you're enjoying your daily salt lick. This condition is weird. Had a doctor tell me my chronicutis were just mind over matter and that if I just told my bladder to relax, it would. Turned out the chronicutis were from nerve damage due to a progressive spine condition that would have eventually destroyed the use of my legs, bladder, and bowels without surgery. We all get the do yoga / gluten free / accept Jesus Christ into your heart, etc suggestions I'm sure have serious uses. Just say no. Ask them to leave. Legally, the UT has to vacate your body. If they've been there long enough, they may have established tenancy. You must give them at least 30 days notice to vacate. And unfortunately the courts are currently not enforcing eviction orders due to the lockdown. My wife has chronic fatigue syndrome. For over a decade she has been dramatically limited in her ability to work, socialize, take care of chores, you name it. She struggles to do it. And here's the thing with CFS, you know you have it when all your tests say you're healthy, when diet changes, rest, and exercise don't help, and when you've been sick like that for a long time. Generally, the worst advice she gets is a well-meaning, simple advice. Have you tried going to bed earlier / later? Waking up earlier / later? Eating more or less of this substance? Going for walks or doing weights? Or it's not the worst advice, because it's even bad advice for general health. Nobody we know is telling her to inject bleach or drink colloidal silver. It's the worst advice, because it's so thoroughly condescending. It amounts to saying I've made no attempt to understand your condition. But have you tried not being a helpless moron and doing this incredibly simple and obvious thing? If you know someone with a chronic condition and you hear about some research, or a medical trial, or anything along those lines, they'll probably be happy to hear about it, even if they've heard about it 10 times before. But I know you are sick. But have you tried being healthy? Will not make them feel better. Exactly. After a while, the well-meaning suggestions all boil down to why haven't you bothered to try curing yourself with totally basic, easy, or idiotic thing. It's like we didn't even bother to try to be healthy or get diagnosed. It was all that we were waiting around for, that asshole to tell us to feel better. A random middle-aged man on the train to Busan looked at my cane and gave me some exercises that I could do to fix my leg. Basically to will it to be cured. He had no idea what the problem was. It was so weird. Did he turn into a zombie afterwards? My first thought, I don't get it. Train to Busan is a Korean zombie film. Really good. I have PCOS and possibly endo. My favorite piece of advice is to ignore it, because it is all made up, and in your head No. I have ultrasound and blood work results that say something much different. A few decades ago the common advice for women who had PCOS/endo/terrible cramps/horrible periods in general was wait until you're married. It will go away. Because obviously your hormones will start acting differently once you sign legal papers. I guess they used to think sperm was a magic cure-all for lady problems. Used to. How about still do? A lot of people, including quite a few doctors, will tell you that having a kid is the best way to get rid of endometriosis pain. It's downright depressing. Sure it is, but only because then your OB might consider a hysterectomy instead of refusing, because your husband might want kids later. Everybody has had trouble falling asleep at least once, so everybody thinks they're qualified to diagnose and treat clinical chronic insomnia. Shut the F up about limiting screen time and warm milk and turning the AC on. I've tried everything you can think of in every combination already, but sure, your solution is definitely gonna be the silver bullet. I've had sleep issues since I was a teenager. If you have any good tips or tricks for getting my sleep schedule back on track, please let me know. Gum. Energy drinks and World of Warcraft are no longer options. I recently told my father that accepting my irregular sleep/wake cycle has been the first thing in a long time that's improved my quality of life and productivity. He immediately began to tell me that I should use that forward momentum and focus on having a regular sleep schedule so I can wake up and go to bed at a regular time and be a better person. I had a friend tell me to just go to sleep at X time. Yes, okay, thank you. I will just close my eyes and magically sleep. Of course I won't lay there for hours. Rare liver disease. Now on transplant waiting list. Backquote, you should take turmeric. It's yellow and you go yellow. Remember, like purees like. Apostrophe. What the cinnamon toast F kind of pseudoscience is this? That's the general philosophy around a lot of traditional Chinese medicine. TCM. You should eat this rhino horn as an aphrodisiac. BC, it sorta looks like an erect penis. You should eat pangolin scales. BC, they're hard enough to penetrate stone and will therefore penetrate your blood clot and cure you. Ginseng roots that are in the shape of a human body sell for stupid amounts of money. Yep. I've spent considerable time in China and it's shocking how much of the general population actually believes in TCM. I have a friend from China who swore that I could cure my type 1 diabetes by eating animal pancreas. After all, her mother cured her heart issues by eating duck heart. My favorite was when I was in the local public hospital, mistake number 1, and the dude next to me had been in a motorbike accident and you could see his bone jutting out of his leg and the doc was like, for home treatment drink only bone marrow soup for 2 weeks. Bye. Do more sports. How is doing sports going to cure endometriosis? There are cells growing somewhere where they shouldn't. It's been linked to estrogen. But honestly, it affects so many women of all shapes, sizes and fitness levels. Sports are neither the cause nor a treatment. On a side note, the best theory on why some women get it was proposed by some American lady. Apparently, I'm having wild sex with demons and that causes endometriosis somehow. MHM. I had a coach once tell me my asthma wasn't an excuse for having a shitty runtime. Specialist told me I just needed to go for more walks. Took me another 4 years to get a fibromyalgia diagnosis, then 4 more years after that to get diagnosed with 3 minor heart problems that were just enough to exhaust me doing nothing. I now am on a beta blocker and don't get winded every time I use the stairs. I thought all you fit people were sadistic masochists that enjoyed pain and feeling tired. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia a few years ago and was told I have likely been suffering with it for years. On top of that, I also found out I have chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm basically tired and in pain 24/7. My in-laws tell me all the time that I'm too young to feel that way and maybe I should sleep more at night. This piece of advice was given, not to me but my mother, about me. When I was younger I had an awful dust and pollen allergy and initial symptoms of asthma. It was in the early 90s and proper treatment was not available in my country. So my father would bring me meds from one of the western countries. Inhalers, antibiotics, ointments, you name it. Anything to stop me from suffocating. Up until I was 4 years old I was either coughing or suffocating. There was nothing in between. At the same time, I was prescribed really strong antihistamines to at least reduce the reactions, as meds worked on my airways and not additional stuff. Rashes, sensitive skin, dryness. See, my father's mom thought it was all a big scam. Had it happened now, she would probably be anti-vaccine person. But back then she focused on the fact that my mom was just being young and wanted her child to feel special. Funnily, my mom is as sensory sensitive as me, and my coughing was driving her mad. She used to shout at me a lot. She suggested that it's all the meds that I'm taking that cause my issues. She took me to the clinic and asked for an allergy test that I had done on me repeatedly when I was really little, as my mom had no idea why her child keeps coughing and getting chest infections all the time. So one day she comes home, a slip of paper in her hand, yelling at my mom that she is a liar and trying to throw all the meds away. The slip of paper is from the clinic, stating that I have no allergies, no pollen, no dust, no food allergy, nothing. My grandmother just keeps screaming that my mom is poisoning me and she is a young fool. My mom was in her early 20s at the time. What you need to know about my mother is that she is little but fierce. You wouldn't suspect so. She's so petite. She stands up straight and just yells. How can she have any allergic reaction to anything if she is on medication that stops her from having that reaction, you idiot? Basically my medication was helping with large amounts of the allergen, so my mom wouldn't have to vacuum every 6 hours. Only every day. On no planet would I have a reaction to a tiny diluted sample on my arm. My allergies did subdue when I got older and I never needed an inhaler to function. Anxiety causes some of my problems with breathing and I will never be a professional athlete, but I don't need any meds now because it got sorted when I was young. I can't imagine what would happen if my mom actually liked and respected her mother-in-law and actually listened to her. How can she have any allergic reaction to anything if she is on medication that stops her from having that reaction, you idiot? Yep. When you get allergy tested, you have to be off all your allergy meds, and amazingly, some of my positive results were stronger than the response to pure histamine. Open bracket. Explain me that God will turn his back at me if I ever kill myself. Wow. F me, I almost forgot that eternal damnation will wait in the corner. No more suicide thoughts. Thanks, random lady in psychiatric hospital. The same teacher who told me that people who kill themselves go to hell said at my friend's funeral after she killed herself that she was probably watching us from paradise. My best friend's dad killed himself while they were at her aunt's wedding out of state. When they moved, people found out and told her that. She was like 12. Accept Jesus into your heart and he will protect you from all illness. A Jehovah's Witness at my door that I opened as I was recovering from surgery. I thought it was my brother with my pharmacy pickup. Weird. JWs told me it was God's plan for me to be chronically sick and basically implied I'd done something to deserve it. Frankly, I found it fucking disgusting. I would have replied with, I'm about to do something to deserve it. Apostrophe. I wish he'd been a little devil on my shoulder at the time. Haha. That would have been perfect. Another thing to say is what I'm about to do isn't on God's plan. Just keep pushing yourself to exercise. Building up how much you do, then bingo. You'll be fit and cured. I have CFS. Literally the opposite is true. Also, yoga, breathing, swimming with dolphins, black walnut extract for everything I've ever had wrong with me. Who knew it was a magic bullet? Mindfulness. Go vegan. Stop being vegan. And changing my attitude. Yep, me too. OMG. The fucking mindfulness kills me. I'm very mindful of the fact I've been grossly mistreated by medical professionals for the better part of a decade. Mindfulness pisses me off because it starts with making yourself acutely aware of how every part of your body is feeling. Like, no thanks. I spend all my time trying to block out the pain and aches just to stay sane. If I paid attention to all that, I'd start crying and never stop. I was referred to specialists and told to try meditation. It was the worst thing for me, as letting go of everything just caused the pain and fatigue to overwhelm me. They refused to accept that was true, so I had to keep going for a week until they finally admitted it may not be for me. They told me if I didn't do it, they'd put in my medical records that I didn't follow their recommendations, which could affect my future treatment with doctors. That was a long week.